There has been some anti-aircraft activity as well as sirens in the area around Baghdad. In fact, we have a Reuters report here that a handful of explosions rocked Baghdad at dawn on Thursday as jets roared overhead. Iraqi anti-aircraft batteries opened up and air raid sirens sounded. This is the report from Reuters out of Baghdad Thursday morning, Wednesday night here. The shot that you can see is of the press room in the White House. Photographers standing by waiting for Ari Fleischer to come out. We are told that the president left the Oval Office and went, well, here is the spokesman. No, I'm sorry. That the president left the Oval Office and went back to have dinner with Mrs. Bush in the White House residence. And there was some reason to believe that the attack by the United States might not take place tonight, especially as the evening went on and it got closer to dawn in Baghdad. And there is Ari Fleischer, the White House press secretary. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The opening stages of the disarmament of the Iraqi regime have begun. The president will address the nation at 10:15.
So there you hear it, White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer announcing that the effort by the United States to disarm the regime of Saddam Hussein in Iraq has begun, if I look at my watch, about an hour and 45 minutes after that 48-hour deadline that the president gave to Saddam Hussein and to his two sons on Monday to leave Iraq. And as we say, just an hour and 45 minutes after those 48 hours had elapsed, the president made good back in 1991 when this President Bush's father, George Herbert Walker Bush, set a deadline in mid-January for Saddam Hussein to get out of Kuwait. And when he failed to do so that very first night, he struck. ABC correspondent Chris Bury is with the Central Command in Doha, Qatar. Chris, what can you tell us from there? Chris Bury, you're on the air.
New York.
Chris Bury?
Yes.
Apparently, we're having a technological problem getting Chris Bury up, so we'll wait a couple of moments. Katie, let's go back to that issue, and we probably should reset for people who may have just joined us. Ari Fleischer, the presidential spokesman, came into the briefing room at about 9:45 Eastern Time, about 10 minutes ago, to announce, quote, the opening stages of the disarmament of the Iraqi regime have begun, as well as to announce that President Bush will address the nation from the Oval Office at 10:15. That's about 20 minutes from now. I wonder, Katie, any thoughts about that when this president set this deadline of 48 hours, there's been some talk, I know, over the weekend. Vice President Cheney said some people call this fella a Westerner, a cowboy, and maybe that's not all bad, that when he says something, he means it. Any thought that maybe there was some psychological effect to setting a deadline and then enforcing it?
Well, a lot of aides have said that the president is much more at ease ever since he made the address to the nation on Monday, that he has been ready to go. He is at ease with his decision, and that, that once he addressed the nation and it was time, and no matter what, whether Saddam Hussein had left or not, that the military was going to go into Iraq. And he has been at ease with that, everyone has said, and he has been ready to go. And I think that, for him, sooner rather than later, why wait? They've been waiting 12 years to get this done, and they're ready to go.
Again, there you can see pictures of the sky over Baghdad as it is getting lighter and lighter there. And let me
has warned that the conflict might be more difficult and might be more costly than many officials and analysts have suggested. We'll have lots of opportunity to come back to that. To our military analyst, Tony Quartersman. Tony, as I recall some of our briefings over the last several weeks and months, there are at the very minimum about 70 potential targets in Baghdad which the U.S. is interested in.
That's right, Peter. If we take a look at this wide area map of Baghdad, we're talking about the Special Republican Guards being in this area, his main intelligence service and bodyguard, the National Security Council. We're talking about 3 other intelligence services It's almost amazing to consider how many targets, how many men, just to protect Saddam, there really are in this city. And the leaders of those units, as well as Saddam, are certainly targets of opportunity.
Thanks, Tony. And of course, as we've watched the intelligence and watched as best we can the movements of the Iraqis, we get all this secondhand through military intelligence and those briefings which the military give us. We've watched, apparently, Saddam Hussein and his inner circle draw his forces back into a variety of concentric circles around Baghdad. In fact, the reporting from John McWethy earlier tonight was that the forces in the south, where the U.S. forces have still not crossed the border in large numbers, are largely regular Iraqi army, and U.S. forces are getting signals that they may be disinclined to fight. Let's go to Qatar. Qatar is the home for this war of Central Command, led by General Tommy Franks, and ABC's Chris Bury is there. Chris, what can you tell us?
Peter, we now have confirmation from a military official here at U.S. Central Command that, in fact, an operation aimed at regime targets was underway over Baghdad tonight. This is what they call the effects-based targeting, going after very specific goals, and in this case, it would be regime change, a target, perhaps a palace or a ministry. We haven't been given specific targets, just that, in fact, an operation aimed at regime targets was underway. The only hint that we got that this might be, something might be coming up is earlier, a senior military official suggested that we would see a big increase in the tempo over the southern no-fly zones, that anything the Iraqis had that could possibly threaten the U.S. and British troops gathered in Kuwait would be taken out. And in fact, yesterday we saw several major hits on everything from artillery batteries to surface-to-surface missiles across the southern no-fly zone. This obviously is a different kind of attack, but we do have confirmation now that it was underway, aimed at regime targets in Baghdad.
As we look at a map, first of Baghdad, and then perhaps we could look at a map of the southern portion of the country, is Ted Koppel still available to us? Okay, I think one of the things that Ted would have told us, and almost anybody with U.S. forces who are up along the border between Kuwait and Iraq. These, by the way, as we look at this map, this may be misleading at the moment, because this is the area of Baghdad which we are fairly able to see from our position there. And there are no huge explosions in downtown Iraq. We use the Al Rashid Hotel as a central marking point because it's been famous ever since the '91 campaign. But there's no indication, at least, that in this fairly tight area, that perhaps farther south on the edge of the city, based on what we've heard, there may have been a target of opportunity. Well, we will not know. It is all speculation at the moment. But as we go to the southern part of the country, if we could get up a picture or a map of the border of Iraq and Kuwait, along the Kuwait border there from Al-Fa, which is on the peninsula just below Basra, which is the first city ground troops will encounter of any significance they go across. All American forces are deployed down there. It's basically the only way into the country which land forces can go. There are just a huge number of forces down there, and they are all, get John McWethy, our Pentagon correspondent on this, have all been anticipating and have been told to anticipate the possibility that in the days before a massive U.S. attack, there might be a preemptive attack by the Iraqis using chemical or biological weapons. There were some reports, John McWethy, earlier this evening that people had to get in their suits for a while. But at least as of the moment, nothing of this nature has been realized.
It has not been realized, but there has been plenty of reporting in the last several days indicating that some of the frontline Iraqi units